Hey there, this is Jonathan with the GeneratePress team, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through the GeneratePress site library and show you our newest template that we're super proud of. When you use GeneratePress as your theme, there is an entire site library available to you that has a number of great starter sites that you can pick from. The one we're going to look at today is the newest addition to this library called SimpliCloud that you can see here. And in just a moment, we'll actually import it into our WordPress site and take a look. Now you can see there's a ton of other great templates here for you. And if you don't use GeneratePress, of course, you can also take advantage of the GenerateBlocks patterns. Those are available to you as well. But in this case, we're going to take a look at a full website. So what I've done in this other tab here is set up a blank WordPress installation. And if I go to Appearance and GeneratePress, I want to just make sure that I have the site library turned on. Once you activate this feature, we can go ahead and click on Open Site Library, and then we're basically looking at the same screen that we were just seeing previously on the GeneratePress.com website. Now we can pick any one of these, and what it's going to do is import everything. So let's quickly take a look at what's currently on the site. You can see that this is just a very standard, basic default WordPress installation with just GeneratePress and GenerateBlocks, and that's it. No styling, no colors, no logo. In our media library, we can see that's empty as well. And then if we go to GenerateBlocks and our global styles, we don't have any global styles on this website. The reason I mention that is when we bring in one of these sites, all of those things are going to be imported for us. So let's just go ahead and click on SimpliCloud. We're going to choose the option that says Get Started. And then we want to make sure theme options and demo content is turned on. And we need to confirm that this is going to overwrite our current website. So make sure you don't have anything you don't want to lose here. This SimpliCloud template was designed by Kyle Van Duzen, so big shout out to Kyle for the build on this one. We're going to go ahead and click on Begin Import, and it takes just a moment. You can see it's activating the plugins and bringing in the content, and once it's done, then we get this little notice here that says View Site. Now, when we go to our homepage, we can see that all of the content, the logos, the text, everything is built for us right out of the gate, which is awesome. And I also want to point out that there are a couple of GeneratePress elements that have been created for us here. So we have our CTA navigation hook for our button, and then we also have the footer here as well. We'll take a look at those in just a little bit. So what I want to do is just go ahead and edit this page. And if I go ahead and expand my sidebar here, it'll give us a better idea of what we're actually looking at. And all of these elements are built using GenerateBlocks. So this is a GenerateBlocks headline, GenerateBlocks button, and each of these have the standard global styles that you would find from our pattern library. This is going to make it extremely consistent and easy should you make changes to this site and you kind of want to make them match when you bring in other elements from the pattern library. If you want to learn more about the GenerateBlocks pattern library, check out our series here on YouTube. You can find the link to that in the description below. Now, if we look at these different elements, we can see that they're all built using a variety of global styles, and then some are built using standard just layout controls, like we have layout flex here, setting the direction to row, and that's how we're getting these buttons side by side. Then, for example, this highlight, this is actually using the highlight feature. So if we were to select this text, then go down to highlight, what we can do is on this headline element, we can come to the colors tab and you can see that there's this highlight color option. So these are all our GeneratePress global colors that have been imported when we brought in that site. So if for some reason, you needed to change these highlight colors, you certainly can do so. Now let's go down to one of our other features here. So we have a feature section grid, and this is just using a standard GenerateBlocks grid. If we expand this, we have all the different columns here. And again, these are all using a combination of GenerateBlocks global styles and bringing in our theme defaults from GeneratePress. That's where our fonts and our sizing are coming from. So all of this can be easily modified, which I'll show you how to do in just a moment. Whether you want to change your colors or your fonts is very easy and simple to do. We'll scroll down just a little bit more and we can take a look at this next feature section here. This one looks pretty similar to the one below it, except they're just a left and right alternate. And one thing that's really cool with this is because, of course, we can turn these into our own patterns. So if we wanted to, we could go ahead and click on the three dots here and we could say Create Pattern. This would make it reusable around our site. So if you wanted to use this as a baseline in other places around your site, like maybe your sales pages or contact forms or something like that, you can create this pattern to make it reusable. So we could call this feature section 1. And then if we want unique content in each of these patterns, we would disable synced. And then the styling and kind of the baseline elements would be brought in. So we can just go ahead and click on create and we can turn that into a pattern. We'll look at where to use that pattern in just a moment. Let's go down to the testimonial section. If we take a look on the front end, we can kind of see a better example of what that looks like. We'll just scroll down here. Looks very nice. So we could swap out this person's photo and the text if we needed to. And then down below that, we have a CTA section. This is another case where it probably makes sense to turn this into a pattern because then it would be reusable across our site. So let's go ahead and do that. And we're going to call this CTA pattern. Then this time we are going to leave this synced. And that will mean that any changes we make to any instance of this pattern will be replicated everywhere that pattern exists on our site. Go ahead and just click on create. And again, we'll take a look at how to utilize these in just a little bit. The last thing I wanted to cover down here is our query loop block. So this is a standard generate blocks query loop. And what it's doing is grabbing our most recent posts. So it's going to bring in the standard WordPress post type of posts. It's going to show the most recent 3 posts automatically. In some of our recent videos, we showcased a lot of the things that you can do with the query loop, like creating archive templates, showing related posts, and all kinds of other things. So we won't get super into that today, but if you're interested, you can check out those videos as well. So you can see that there's clear organization to everything that has been built on this page, and everything is really easy to customize. So what I'm going to do now is just go back to the pages section here. And then if we go to appearance and patterns, we can see that the 2 patterns that we just created a moment ago are both available for us. So our CTA pattern is the synced one, and then the feature section one would be kind of a useful way to quickly spin up a feature section. Let's go to our pages again, and let's just go edit features as the page. Then if we scroll down, let's say, maybe we want to take this section here and kind of convert it into that other feature section that we had a moment ago. So what I'll do here is just go add before. We can type /feature, and then we can see that this little icon is indicating this is the pattern we made, featured section 1. We can just drop that in, and that's exactly what we wanted. So now, if you wanted to say, see SimpliCloud in action, we could just kind of swap these headlines around. Maybe you want to take this and turn this into the highlight. Then again, we would just go to colors, and then our highlight color of this blue will then make the SimpliCloud text have that nice highlight, which is great. And then maybe you want some portion of this text. We could pop that in here, and then maybe let's just take the button. I'll just Control C, and we can pop that right below. So book a demo. Then we don't need this one anymore because we've gotten the information we need out of it. So there's an example of how useful patterns can be. We can really quickly spin up a new section that matches our site styling, and we're not spending a bunch of time building it from the ground up. Over time, you might have many different patterns on your site. And of course, like I mentioned, with these global styles attached to them, the changes that you make in terms of styling will be reflected inside of the Generate Blocks pattern library when you bring in new elements as well. Now, this features page doesn't have that call to action section. So what's really cool about that is if we wanted to add this, let's select this testimonial section. We're going to go to add after, and we'll type /CTA. This purple icon is indicating that this pattern is synced. So if I go ahead and just pop this on the page, we can update and just take a look. There's our first pattern that we added, and then scrolling all the way down, there is the CTA. Now I wanted to touch on the synced nature of this. So of course, this exists both on our homepage and on our features page. So if we go to the homepage, we can again see that the text and all the styling is exactly the same. Now, when these patterns are synced, what that means is that any changes we make to one instance of it will reflect anywhere else to that synced pattern. So of course, we have this both on our features page and our homepage, and they look identical. Let's say, for example, we want to change this headline to be book a demo instead. All we would need to do is go find somewhere that pattern exists. We can click on edit original. And then what we'll do is just say, book a demo. We can just update this. And then now if we go update and refresh the features page, now we can see that the features page has taken that change. Then the homepage hasn't, but that's just simply because we haven't replaced this with the synced pattern version. So in this case, all I need to do is go to edit my page, come down to the CTA section. We can simply just delete it. And then, right before this section, we'll again pop in the CTA pattern. And when we do so, we can see that the text already matches the change we made. So book a demo, just update, take a look on the homepage, scroll down, and there we have it. So you can see how synced patterns can be really useful for common elements around your site. Keep in mind, in GeneratePress, you can also utilize hooks to add an individual block or a section or even a pattern anywhere you want on your site before or after content, before and after your footer. If you'd like more information on that, drop a comment below and let us know. The last thing I want to cover is customizing the colors and the fonts of these site libraries that you bring in. So we can just simply go to the GeneratePress customizer. And just as you do with your own site, we can take these defaults and change them a little bit. So with our colors, let's maybe say, our primary blue is going to be maybe more of like a deep orange. And you can see everything is updating in real time because all of these instances where we're using the colors are coming from our GeneratePress global colors. Then maybe if we scroll down to some of these nice kind of transparent blue backgrounds like this, we could come here and, maybe we could say like an orange, a deeper orange with a light kind of transparency, 25%. Of course, we need to work on the accessibility scales. That would be an important thing to keep in mind. But this is just example sake. So we could, maybe make these a darker version or anything like that. You can see how these templates rely heavily on the theme defaults from your colors and your typography. So making changes to match your branding is going to be really straightforward and simple. Then of course, the other thing we can do is if we go back to the typography section, the default font here in this particular template is Poppins, but let's just say, you want something like Roboto instead. We can swap it there. And then the only place really you need to change it is inside the body tag. You're going to want to set this to Roboto instead of Poppins. And you can see all of our fonts around the entire site now match that change we just made. So customizing these sites you bring in from the site library are extremely simple because so much of it comes from your GeneratePress global styles. If I just publish these changes, even though they may not look the greatest, and then we go view our homepage, we can see that the font changes and the color changes we made now apply. So we've covered a lot here, how to bring in a site from the site library, looking at how the pages are constructed, patterns, customizing them. There's a lot here to cover. So if you have any questions, do please let us know in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.